Nice. So today we're going to be talking a little bit about why we left America and would we ever consider going back to America?
Yeah. Well, let's start with why we left America. Why did you start? Why did you leave America?
I left America. I was quite young. I was 23 years old, and I left America to come here. I met my wife in America. We came here to get married, and I never, planned at all to be a pastor, but I fell in love with the country, and over time, things changed. I, started leading the youth, and then became a pastor, and finally became the lead pastor of my church. So I think leaving America for me was really not a decision because I disliked America at all.
Right.
It was more of I just wanted to come here and get married to my wife, who I had already been with for 2 years in America as boyfriend and girlfriend.
Yeah.
So that's why I left. And we were always planning to go back, and I just ended up not going back because the Lord called me here.
I'm curious, because I asked you this, but was it hard for you at that age to get up and leave your country?
Surprisingly, it wasn't hard for me. I think I didn't have the close connections that a lot of people do. I had friends, but I wasn't really that close to a lot of my college buddies. We went off and did our own things after college, and I actually stayed in college a year after many of them had left. So for me, it wasn't hard even to leave my parents. It's probably harder for my parents than it was for me.
Yeah. I can understand that.
Again, always thinking I would be going back there. That was the decision.
Right. Yeah, for me, I left in 2011 due to a business opportunity in China. I was having a pretty rough time in USA at the time. And so I went to China for a couple of years, and I discovered the Philippines while I was living in China, and started to make frequent visits to Philippines and kind of fell in love with the place. And I actually also fell in love with a very, very bad lifestyle too, which we've talked about on other videos, and but still that's what started me in the Philippines. And so I've been living in the Philippines, even though I was up to the pandemic, I was commuting a lot back and forth to China, but I've been living here for over 10 years in the Philippines. So I think it would be hard to go back to USA now, for quite a few reasons actually. Well, for you, what reasons would you not want to go back to USA? I don't even know if you don't want to. I didn't even ask you. Would you consider going back to USA?
The only thing that would cause me to go back to the US is, since I'm a pastor here, I would only go back if I had a ministry there, or some sort of ministry. It doesn't have to be a church. But I would feel that God is really calling me back there, and I would feel that I have a purpose going back. I wouldn't want to go back otherwise, and I don't think that there would be anything for me in the US. I would have a hard time getting a job because I haven't kept up with my skills job-wise. I can do things here, but in America it might be rather hard. I may go back to flipping burgers or something.
Well, that's actually one of the challenges that I would face. I mean, I'm 60 years old now, and I've always kind of been my own boss. I've always had my own businesses, been my own, have my own companies, whatever, and so I don't really have any skill set as such. I don't have anything to offer another company unless they want me to come in and run the company. But not many people want to pay you to run the company, and also I'm 60 years old, so it's not the prime age for hiring someone.
Right. And life is so expensive in America as well.
Well, I guess depends on where you live. Generally it is, but I mostly spent most of my time in California, and I get comments all the time about how expensive it is to live in California.
Right.
In fact, I just did a video about a house for rent here because I was complaining about how much it was. It was 35,000 pesos, and what's that, $630? Is that? Anyway, ridiculous. And I'm sitting there, wow, that's expensive. And then somebody sent me a comment saying he lives in California. He said, for that property on that size land yard, you'd be paying $3,500 to $4,000 US a month.
That's true, right?
And I'm like, so sometimes I need that reality put back in my head, because you forget. You get so used to the cost of living out here after so long, especially for you, 23 years, we forget how expensive it must be to live in USA now.
Well, for people who have pensions, which both of us are just working as well, we don't live on that. But
Right.
for people who do have good pensions or retirement, they can come over here and live quite comfortably.
Right. No, absolutely. By the way, I've got one more year and I can get pension.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Gary, would you ever consider, if everything was okay, like, you know, you had work in the U.S., would you consider going back and bringing your family?
Okay. I struggle with this one because number one, I have two small little girls, and I do sometimes wonder what is best for them, for their future. Is it better for them to be raised in the education system in USA, or can they get the same out here? I and maybe you know this because your wife works at a school anyway. You probably know this better than me. But do you? Okay, it's not likely my children would get as good as an education out here in the Philippines as in America. Now, please tell me if I'm wrong on that. I don't know. I'm just what I hear.
Well, I think you're right. But the balance between a good education and a good lifestyle, you know, where do you tip the balance? Is it worth going back to the States when lifestyle may not be as good, but the education itself is better? Things like that.
You know, they're good points.
Yeah.
And you know, then there's the you said lifestyle, which is also the closeness families have out here, which is really important. The kids tend to grow up quite happy here, and whereas I constantly hear about how and there's so much pressure on kids, and these days that kids are growing up often in a difficult environment, suffering with psychological problems, depression. I hear a lot of that, especially these days with what's going on with the education system. You know?
Yeah, and here when people do suffer damage psychologically and they get depressed, they have at least a family to back them up.
Right.
You know, and they can easily overcome that, where in the States it's so hard to overcome sometimes some of those problems.
Right. No,
So I think that's a big bonus here.
For sure. So let me answer this. I think the main reason I would go back is to ultimately get my wife and my stepchild American citizenship. Because as you know, I'm an American citizen, and my daughter, Gracie, I've already got her American passport and citizenship. And of course my wife hasn't, and my stepchild hasn't. So I would like to get them citizenship, but the only way I can do that is to be a resident in USA for 3 years, of which I have to spend half that time. So I guess I would have to minimum spend 18 months and 1 day in USA during that 3-year period before I can apply for their citizenship. But I think ultimately, if we obtain that goal, I would still prefer to come back here. Again, the only concern was the girls and the education and all that, but things have improved, haven't they? You know, you've been here 20. Hasn't the education system improved over here?
It has improved vastly over here, and although they still hold to some traditional things which are not so good in terms of education, but it's improved so much. And we sent our first niece to school. We sent her to school at a public school, and there were so many things which I really did not like at the time. And we sent our second niece to the same school, and it's a lot better. It's a lot better. Now she's going to Philippine, which has a very good educational system, although there's some changes which I don't like now, but it's a good system, and they do get a good education, and it's almost, I think, comparable to a Western school.
Okay. Well, that's good to know, and I do love the Philippines, and I do enjoy living out here, and I think that's really my heart where I want to be. I do want to spend my life here now with the family, but I'd just like them to have American citizenship.
Right. Well,
there's other benefits that go along with that too.
And I think that doesn't apply so much to me. My wife is a little bit older, and I don't. I don't have children,
right?
And I don't have she could not avail of a pension if I went back. She could not avail of those governmental things. I left so early.
Okay.
So I don't know if it would really apply to her as much as with you.
Right,
I can see your reasons.
Yeah. So anyway, we struggle with that. Well, here's another thing we should think about. Again, being Christians, how is Christianity in USA right now? Do you think you can get better fellowship over here these days, or do you think that would be a problem? The way, I mean, I'll give you an example. I heard this. I don't know if it's true, but in one state they're even banning Bibles from the jails.
Yeah. So
you saw that because because there's too much violence in the Bible, I guess, and they don't want, and it's just one. But it seems like they're pushing Christianity out of many things right now. The school system has been pushed out a long time ago, right?
Definitely, that's a big thing.
And they do have that here. They still, even though a lot of it's, they have good Christian schools here. A lot of Catholic too, but I would rather stick to a Christian school. But that's something to think about, isn't it? Especially, again, for my two girls, I want them to grow up in a strong Christian environment. Is it more likely they will get that here than in USA?
It definitely is. I mean, in the USA, there are Christian schools, but even Christian schools are now having to adopt some of the policies of the educational system, or the Board of Education in the US. So I definitely think that's a thing. And in terms of the wider Christian world in the US, there's so much that is Christian culture, churchianity. It's not really Christian anymore. So many churches even are going away from real Christian values, and perhaps we can talk more about that in another video.
No, absolutely.
So much better here in the Christian world.
No.
Yeah.
So the bottom line verdict is we both would prefer to stay here in the Philippines, and I don't think either of us really want to return to USA to live.
That's right.
Unless you were called by God for some reason, you felt that calling that you needed to go back, and at this point you haven't had that. So
no, if God would call me strongly to go back, and I felt that He was calling me to do that for whatever reason, anything, I would follow God. I would obey God.
Yeah. And for me, it would be really only to obtain citizenship for my wife and my daughter, that I think, because that's important for us to all be on the same passport. Traveling from the Philippines. For Philippines, it's not always so easy. Just even going to local places. If you want to take a trip to Thailand or something. I mean, even though you don't need a visa to go there, they can often have trouble getting out of the country.
Oh yeah, so it is much better if you're the American passport.
It's better to be all on the same passport, same citizens. That would be my preference. Do I want to sacrifice a year and a half of my life, and not to mention how much that would cost?
Extremely expensive.
Yeah, I can't even imagine. I think the only way I could do that is if my business had took off and had a really good year,
or if your YouTube channel.
My wife's channel is doing pretty good, but I mean, unless I'd have to make a lot more money, is the point, than I'm making now, to be able to survive comfortably in USA, especially like I am now. I mean, I live a fairly comfortable life, and for me to live the way I'm living here in USA is clearly, even though some areas in USA are a lot more expensive than others, it's still going to be a lot more.
I think life in the Philippines is pretty good, even if you're not rich.
Yeah.
You're not even that wealthy, but if you're an American coming to the Philippines, you can really live a pretty good life.
No, absolutely. All right, we're staying. All right, listen, before we go, Andrew, let's tell the viewers about our new exciting project we have, about the new channel.
Well, this is exciting. Family, I hope that you can follow us there. We're starting a new channel that will be specifically a Christian channel. We'll still have Christian videos on this channel, but we'll be doing a little bit more in-depth Christian stuff on the other channel.
Yes.
So go ahead and follow us there. This will be an exciting new venture.
Yeah, we're going to, the channel should be, actually, if you're watching this video, I will probably post the first video on the new channel straight afterwards, or at the same time, so that you'll be able to, I'll put a link in the description, and I'll put a link on the screen, or the name on the screen. So you should be able to go to the channel, see our introductory video, and you can go ahead and subscribe. That would be very much appreciated. And as you said, we're going to get into a lot more deeper Christian topics, and kind of because we've been doing a mixture on this channel. Some weeks we've got into deep Christian conversations, or we've done a devotion or something, and then I go to a completely different topic, which can be confusing to subscribers.
It can be.
That maybe they subscribe because they saw one of my house tour videos, and the next video we're doing a Bible study. It's like confusing. So we thought it'd be a good idea just to separate the channel, start a new channel, which will be for both of us. In fact, the name right now, for now, temporary, is Gary and Pastor Andrew in the Philippines.
So you can help us with this name selection if you have suggestions for us.
Yeah, we need some suggestions. I'd like I don't know. I thought about a different name, and what have we come up with so far? Any other ideas?
The bald guy in the Philippines?
Well, yeah, but you have to shave your head.
I would, the bald guys.
Yeah, the bald guys, and I don't think you're going to shave your head. So
I don't know if my wife would allow it.
No, I don't think she would either. So anyway, if you've got any suggestions for something that I know would be more appropriate. But for now, it's Gary and Pastor Andrew in the Philippines.
Good, sounds good. What do you think?
Yeah, be interested now. So please, we would very much appreciate you, as soon as you finish watching this video, clicking on the link in the description, go to a channel and subscribe right away. You don't even have to watch the video, just subscribe so we can get the channel started. So I think you'll find the content we're going to do, I think you're going to find it very helpful, educational, and you're going to be doing things like devotions once a week. We're going to do a Bible study you talked about with me.
Yeah.
And maybe once a week we'll be, and in fact, that's another question for anybody watching. Is there a particular book you would like us to start with that we will study?
Bible study, so give us some suggestions what book you would like, if you have ideas.
Yeah, of course, we might not do it anyway, but but we would like ideas. If we get several people picking the same book, maybe we'll choose to do that one.
Yeah. Okay.
So anyway, just give us your suggestions, we'd appreciate it. Anyway, thank you for watching this video today. Hopefully some interesting information for you.
Thank you for watching, and we look forward to see you on the other channel.